Hi, I'm Colleen. I've spent over 25 years working hands-on with dogs, reading behavior, timing, and the subtle signals that most people miss. In these videos, I use a simple rating system to break down where a dog is emotionally and mentally in each moment, so we can actually understand why things work or don't. You'll notice I only use very short clips from the original footage, because this channel isn't about replaying the show. It's about analysis, education, and learning what's happening beneath the surface. So let's break this one down together.
Get him down, Matthew, get him down.
Hey, whisk!
And he have very, very sharp teeth, and everything that get on his reach, he's able to tear one of the kids. Now he's being put outside, and it's sad because
This is so sad. And it happens all the time. When the owners, they get the puppy when it's cute, adorable, and they don't give any boundaries. They don't teach the puppy anything. And then, of course, as it gets bigger, it's still doing all of those same behaviors, but now it's bigger. The owners and the family can no longer handle the dog, so the dog gets banished outside. What this does is it actually creates even more problems, because now this dog still has all of those same behaviors, but now he's also dealing with being frustrated because he's being kept away from the family.
he's not playing with anybody but himself.
You can see right here, just look at him looking in the window. And this is so unnatural for a dog, right? Like they're pack. They are part of a pack. They need to be part of a pack. And so right now he's basically being told that he is to stay out there while the rest of his pack is over here. It's just such a horrible feeling for the dog to be in.
She treats her dogs like babies, and I think
That's the problem right there. When we treat our dogs like babies, especially human babies, we put our expectations of how a human would behave onto a dog. Those are two totally different things. And the problem is when we start baby talking and treating them like babies, as far as a dog's concerned, the dog sees this as weak, because we're putting ourselves in a weak position right off the bat. So how does a dog follow a weak energy? They don't. What they do is they say, okay, I can't trust this weak energy to lead me, so I better take that position. And unfortunately, most dogs, they just don't want to be in a leader position. They're just not designed for it.
This dog,
How old is he?
5 months approximately, and he's big. He's a puppy, and he has too much energy. We cannot have control of him.
He's a puppy and he has too much energy. Well, he's a puppy, taught nothing. He has no rules. We've already kind of been through that already.
Hopefully when he matures, he will change, his behavior. But
They don't change. They don't, well, they do, but their behaviors just get bigger, bolder, and more aggressive. They don't all of a sudden magically turn 2 years old and become great, right? That's not how dogs work. Dogs work by learned behavior. So if this is what he's being permitted to do, in his mind, he thinks that he's doing it. If anything, he's just going to get better at being bad. They're right here. The dogs, it's fine if it's on the couch. I have no problem with dogs being allowed on the couch, but they need to be taught how to behave on the couch, and they have to be invited on. I guarantee this dog was not invited on. He's just running. He's using the furniture probably as a gymnasium, and clearly this kid is his monkey bars, right? He's just climbing all over him. Puppies, when they play with each other, there's this thing called bite inhibition. So when a puppy plays and they bite their sibling, the sibling all of a sudden lets out a yelp. That's how puppies learn when enough is enough, when, oh, I bit too hard. Unfortunately, when they're playing like this with kids, just like they would with their siblings, there is no bite inhibition being taught here. The kid is just going along, squirming and playing along with it. And the dog never actually learns when enough is enough.
then
What?
So right here, he's jumping up on her. He's trying to control her. And this is so typical of, well, not just a puppy, but dogs in general. Dogs that jump up there, they have no respect for personal space.
Oof. Now he's...
I was just about to say, here's one of the other problems with the jumping around, especially with puppies, because they're so nippy. Puppies are naturally very mouthy. That's how they learn. That's how they, it's not just a taste thing, it's a texture. They have to have things in their mouth. When a puppy jumps like that, what ends up happening is they start going for the face. And this is an instinct, because puppies with their parents, when they're hungry, they lick the mouth, and that signals to the mother to regurgitate their food, and then the puppy eats it. In this case, the puppy's jumping up at the human, and it's trying to get at that face. And what ends up happening is the puppies, especially tall ones like this, can jump up and they start nipping at the face. And what they're really doing is basically almost trying to mimic what they would do with their parents, which is lick the face, lick the mouth.
Jumping on to bite their hands. She's still getting affection.
Yeah, so right here, it's all right, it's all right. And the puppy's just a wiggling around, right? It's just a happy-go-lucky, bouncy puppy with no rules, boundaries, or limits at this point. But she's totally rewarding the behavior that she doesn't want. The dog just jumped up on her, and now she's saying, good dog. So basically what she's saying is, do that more. I want more of that. That makes me happy when you...
I gotta go in. It's pretty bad.
This way.
Okay, that door went open, puppy raced right out. I can't stress enough, you need to teach your dogs, especially when they're puppies, that an open door is not an invitation to go out. An open door is simply an open door. It's still, they must wait for permission before they can go out. And you need to always take a step out first. You should fully have your body out. The dog should be sitting on the other side of the door. And when you are ready, and only when you're ready, do you invite the dog to join you.
Stop it. No bite.
So stop it. No bite. Meanwhile, the dog's like chowing down on her arm. And again, the words make sense, but let's remember, dogs aren't speaking English like we are. They don't talk the way we do. What he's picking up on is the energy that she's giving, and the fact that she's actually rewarding this behavior by not correcting it right away. The lack of correction is the reinforcement for the behavior that we're trying to get away from.
No bite.
So she says no bite, which is good, but there's no follow through. There's no correction. You don't actually follow through by getting the dog to sit. You don't follow through that whole thing. The dog never realizes. All it hears is no bite. Oh, that means to bite, right? It doesn't matter. He's not understanding that the phrase no bite means not to bite. What he's hearing right there is bite. Use your mouth, right?
How are you? So, that's all right.
So as soon as Cesar walked in the door, the dog's jumping on him, right? Like, hey, again, no personal space, no self-control. The dog doesn't even know yet how to self-regulate its emotions. It's just in this, I use the scale of 0 to 5. So 0 is a sleeping dog, and 5 is a dog like this. So it's just no sense of self-control. It doesn't have the ability to self-regulate its own emotion. It's just in that high level, excitement at all times. And you're going to hear me say that quite a bit using the scale that I use when I'm looking at dogs, because this dog's never been taken down from a 5. It just kind of stays at a 5 all the time.
Once Whiskey started teething is when the issues began.
So look at him. He's up on not only is he up on the furniture, but he's up on the dinner table. Now he's taking stuff off of the coffee table. Again, he's a puppy. He's going to be mouthy. He's gonna want to have things in the mouth, and that's totally understandable. But also look at how fast this poor dog's going. He's running. Oh, my bird. I'm sorry. The bird's gonna decide to chime in here. He can't self-regulate himself right now because he's never been taught how to calm himself down. Our job as dog owners is to try to keep on that scale of 0 to 5. The perfect place, the perfect spot is a 2. That's kind of, right there. They're alert. They're looking around. They're engaged with us, but they're not bouncing off the walls.
Chew on anything, including us.
Off the couch.
He would knock down my daughter.
Hey, no.
And
So here, he jumped up on the little one. The mom ran over saying, no. So she brought this. All she really did is keep the energy high, right? That no, that The dog doesn't hear no. The dog just hears energy, just feels the energy coming off. And then there's no follow through. He wasn't asked to lay down. He was never put in a position where he could self-soothe. He was just not even redirected. He just went from the child and bounced right over. Now it looks like he's going to go after the toy, but there was no correction. There was no follow through from the owner. It was just a no, and he just went off. He didn't even hear the no.
And his play would get aggressive.
No, no.
So here we go. He's biting at her, and she's going, no, no. So the words don't mean anything. Let's just take the words out of it. Just the action itself, when he goes to bite and she pulls away, that becomes a game. That's a chase game, right? So the best thing to do if you've got a nippy puppy, okay, bird, I don't need the, my bird's reacting to me, reacting to Cesar. There we go. Basically what we want to do when our nippy puppy starts nipping is push into it. No, stop it. And then as soon as the dog stops, then we can get them to lay down and get them to actually relax. What you don't want to do is go, no, no, and start pulling your hand. Because as soon as you pull that hand away, the game is on.
I can't even take.
So Dad just went, get down. And so, well, I guess he kind of listened. He got down off that couch, but he just bounced right up on the next couch. So basically all the dad did is pushed him away and put that excited energy on the next couch with his child and his wife. And look at the dog's position, the tail straight up. He's in full play mode right now, going right after the smallest target, which is the child. And sure, it might seem like it's just play, but in this dog's mind, he's controlling everything. He's dominating this child right now.
Whiskey out for a walk. I'm terrified he'll bite somebody.
Right. We went running for the little one, mouth open. Of course, he's panting because he's excited, but the mouth's open. He's running for the little one. Again, this is just a disaster waiting to happen.
On the street. One time I was trying to train with.
So right there, she said off, and he did get off, but I wish we could have seen what happened. I guarantee she didn't follow through. Again, this is one of those times where you say off and then make them lay down, and stay down, right? They need to stay down for more than 1 second. A lot of times what I see is owners will go off or whatever, and they'll push the dog down. They'll even make the dog lay down, but then it bounces right back up again. That's not a follow through. A follow through is where you keep you tell the dog down, and then make the dog stay there for a good 10-15 seconds until the dog's actually fully submitted. The shoulders dropped, it's given into the exercise, and then you can let them get up.
To sit, and I got distracted, and in seconds he leaped towards me, bit my lip, and resulted in a pretty bad wound.
It was scary because,
like I said earlier about the whole nipping at the face, that's just part of that is just simply a puppy thing, right? Where they're going, and that's why it's so dangerous with kids to let your puppy jump up like that. It's an instinct for them to get up and lick the face, but not only are they licking, but they're biting. Now, if he did this to the mom would snarl and growl and give a good correction for doing this. But obviously, this owner isn't going to growl and snarl and bite the puppy. So the puppy never learns that he can't do this because he's never being corrected on any level.
No, off with.
It really.
So again, right there, no, off Whiskey. And meanwhile, the puppy's still jumping, and she's making herself smaller. So she's putting her arms behind her back, which just creates a hide and seek or, kind of tug of war response. All it does is make the dog go, ooh, where's the hands? It keeps that energy up. What would have worked better in that case is to make yourself bigger. No, put your hands on your hips. Walk towards the dog, get in the dog's space, right? Make that dog back up instead of you backing up. As soon as you back up, you're giving up that control. What we want to do, especially with a puppy in this case, is walk towards the dog. Hey, knock it off, and get the dog to back up.
It scared me, and it got me to think about what damage he could do to my kids, my daughter especially. I'm terrified that one of these days, he's just gonna get her in the face.
So even in the house, he's racing around, he's playing. Again, like I said earlier, he's got all of this energy. I pretty much guarantee this puppy's probably not being walked regularly, just based on the amount of energy that he's showing here in the house. But we need to teach our dogs how to behave in each environment. When they're in the house, what are our expectations? When they go outside, what are our expectations? When we take them for a walk, what are our expectations? We need to teach that. We won't have to always do it. It's not, I don't want you to think that for the rest of your life while you have a dog, you have to micromanage these behaviors. You won't have to. If you teach them when they're young, they learn them, and dogs are really, really good at learning things, especially when it comes to habits and routines. They're good at learning them. We just have to teach them the right way.
Because of it, we have kept them outside.
Look at how frustrated this poor dog is. Like, he doesn't understand why he's being basically ostracized. He's being kicked out of the pack, and he doesn't know what he's done wrong. So now he's got all of this energy. He has the same energy he just had a minute ago, but he's got all that energy mixed now with frustration. He doesn't understand what's going on. And when he does get the opportunity to walk in, it's just going to be this huge explosion of energy.
I've thought about giving Whiskey away if it can be a indoor dog.
This is one of those examples where, the human doesn't put the effort in to train the dog when it's a puppy, and then when it does exactly what it has been allowed to do its whole life, the owner says, okay, well, you're too much trouble, and now he gets shipped off to, a rescue center where now not only is he having to adjust to a no home, but he has no foundation to begin with. This is a pretty rough start for this poor dog.
Be any other way, because you're not really teaching anything. You're just putting a pause on things.
Right.
It's just Chuck E. Cheese all day long. It's all excitement.
Right.
You see how the whole time Cesar was talking, I'm probably going to end up editing this part out, or a lot of it out, so you won't get to see it. But hopefully you'll get to see a little bit of this. The puppy is just bouncing from one person and one target to the next. It doesn't know how to regulate itself. It can't calm itself down. It doesn't know to just lay down and relax. So it's got all of this energy. It's frustrated. It's super excited because there's all these people around, and it's running from person to person to toy to target to whatever it can, because it just doesn't know what to do with itself here.
So if you can control a dog around food, you can control that dog around anything.
Let's do this.
Food is a really good thing, especially if you've got a dog that is food motivated. And food's a great way to set a dog up to teach the very basics, in this case, to leave it. This is one of the very first things I teach new puppies that come in for training, or new owners that come in with a puppy, is the number one thing you want to teach your puppy is leave it. Because when a dog learns to leave it, they learn to self-regulate. They learn to have patience. They learn to self-control. And so using food, which is a really high value item for a dog, or especially a puppy, we can use that to block them from moving forward and taking it. So puppy went right in. He smelt it. He smelt it all the way from the door. As soon as he smelt it, he followed his nose and he went right towards the food. He didn't ask permission. He wasn't looking at Cesar for any kind of acknowledgement or eye contact. He was just zeroed right in on the food, and this was a great opportunity for Cesar to go, no, knock it off. Again, he just barged right in. There was no self-control. There was, I smell food, therefore I must eat it. And Cesar coming in with his hand like that and giving a bite to the shoulder, just like mom would do. This is the exact same thing, right? Puppy comes in, he needs to learn some self-control. It's not that he's not going to get the food. We're not teasing the puppy here. We're just saying you need to wait to be invited in. You need to wait until we give you permission to eat it.
There you go.
So he gave that correction there. The puppy went from trying to get the food, realized that he couldn't do that, and he immediately went to try to misdirect and go on to this. And Cesar corrected that too, because what he's saying is, right now isn't play. I don't want you to focus on anything else. I don't want you to avoid the behavior, what we're doing here. I want you to pay attention to it. And so he just gave him a quick correction there. And see, that's really good, right? This is curious. Now the ears are forward, the eyes are nice and soft, the tail's wagging because he's still a puppy and he's still incredibly adorable. But you know, look at just how soft his shoulders are, his back end, his whole head posture. It's not straight up, it's not hunched down. He's more curious now. He's trying to figure out something's different. I still really want that food, but I better approach this a little bit more cautiously now. And that's awesome. Look at that. Like right there. Now the plate's down. He's heard that clunking sound. He knows the food's there. Cesar's now reaching for that. I think that's a treat bag right there. And so the puppy's being so respectful. This is great.
It's not that you are being mean to the dog.
See right there, he thought about it. There's our self-control. Now all of a sudden the puppy's learning, wait a minute. Notice we're not asking the puppy to lay down and do tricks. All we're asking for is a little bit of space, a little bit of time to decide when we want to invite this puppy in.
A dog needs to learn that he can be in front of these things and he has to come out with a different response.
Did you guys see that? That was beautiful. So the puppy, he hasn't given up. He still wants that food, but he's realized that things are changing now. I can't just barge in. So maybe if I just lay down patiently and wait, I'm going to get the reward, which is the food.
Yes. So I'm giving direction. I'm just telling you that this thing, you can't touch it.
You can't touch it, correct.
So if I say that you can't touch this, you can't touch my kid, you can't touch this, you can't touch that.
See, and by not giving in right away, instead of just being, as soon as the dog laid down, he gave him the treat or gave him the food, by waiting, by talking, by letting the dog just sit there and process everything right now, the dog is learning self-control. It's learning that he's not instantly always going to get something. Sometimes you have to wait. And this is such a good exercise to teach your dog.
And he's not allowed to eat it. Simple.
He can come near, you understand? Your energy, your frame of mind.
Okay, so right there, he's already starting to sniff. He's walked in, he's into her personal bubble. I want you to imagine that you've got a hula hoop around you. Your personal bubble needs to be that hula hoop, and your dog is never supposed to move into that personal space, that hula hoop, unless you invite them. They're welcome there. I don't care. They can be up in your arms if that's what you want, but it has to be your invitation. What I don't like to see is dogs just invade that personal space, because that's lack of respect. There's no reason for it.
Mine is, I'm claiming this. That's your bad habit. See it? So he came and touched it. What do? You move it away. See it? This movement, you moving away.
And that's such an instinct for us, right? Like we all do that, where, you know, it's just almost instinct. No, and we move it away. What the better thing to do in this case is say no and push it. Use the object that he's trying to get as your tool to push him away. So he learns to back away from the object that he wants. And again, that's going to teach self-control and patience and just waiting to be invited.
He's moving away.
Back off.
Yes, because the kids are not going to be thinking about anything.
Whisk.
Yeah, right here, he just, sneaky little bugger. He went in, they were probably had the food there, and I'm guaranteeing that the stuff was behind them, and he was just smart enough to know that he could go in behind when they weren't looking and take it. Again, this is a very brand new puppy to this exercise, and dogs are so smart, they can figure stuff out pretty quick.
Whisk. Whisk.
In the puppy's defense, I just want to point out that puppy was actually going to go for the toys first, but the temptation of that ham was just a little too much for that poor pup.
Instructions.
Whisk. Whisk. Whisk.
There's no use at that point. The puppy's already got the target. Using your voice, nothing you say at that moment is going to stop the puppy from eating it. Even Cesar, unfortunately, at this point, it's a little too late. That plate looks pretty empty. Ideally, when you see something like that, you want to get in there right away and get the food, move the dog away from the food and make the dog lay down and submit. Unfortunately, I have to give 1 point for the dog for this one.
Well, here.
I'm sorry. I do feel like that correction was a little too late. It was actually a whole lot too late. The dog already got the treat. Now he's cornered. He's scared. You can see, look at how his mouth is closed. His lips are pursed. His body, he's trying to get away from Cesar. So he's kind of tucked himself up against the wall. We're past the food at this point. Unfortunately, this is one of those times where you just kind of have to give the win to the dog, and it's okay. It's okay for us to let our guards down and make mistakes. Our dogs are perfectly capable of relearning something, even if we accidentally taught them the wrong thing.
Yeah, we still teach.
Well, that was good. He took the dish down. So he basically reset. So he took the dish and he recreated that teaching moment by taking the dish and putting it on the floor. And then when the puppy went to smell it, he gave the correction. See, again, what we're saying is that dog can smell that meat. I don't know if you remember that just 2 minutes ago in the clip there. As soon as Cesar brought the meat out, the dog could smell it all the way from the door. He was very capable of smelling the meat. They don't need to be on top of the food to smell it. So what Cesar's saying is, I don't care, you can smell it, but you can smell it a foot away. You don't need to smell it 1 centimeter away.
There you go. So that's the last memory. Okay? That was a sneak attack, but it's actually good that when he does something.
See, look at this. He's processing, right? He's watching. I love this puppy. He's adorable. He wants that food, that imaginary food, because there is still one little piece of meat left on there. I just saw that. He wants it so bad.
Of limits, I can jump right in with the correction. He's going to go after the food until we establish this boundary. And Rocio.
And I want to make it clear that we can get to the point where you can leave food like right there and tell your dog to leave it, and the dog won't touch it. I mean, heck, do a search on YouTube. You'll see tons of videos of people do that. Throw a steak down, tell the dog to leave it, leave the room, come back half an hour later, and the dog's still sitting beside the steak. So it is very, very easy to teach your dog to leave it and wait for permission to take it.
Needs to teach this to him so she can set all the boundaries in her house full of kids.
There we go. Turn around. Put the foot down. Not around. Yeah.
So again, the dog's in her personal space. It's chomping away at the dish. This would be, if I was there, this is what I would do, is I would take the dish and I would use the dish to push the dog out of the way, creating space for myself and saying, move out of the way. And that way the dog's making the connection that it needs to give space to the food and to you, not just to you.
Not away, towards. Yeah, down. Put it down.
See, that was really good, right? She put the food down, and as she's putting the food down, the dog took a step back. It's still not 100%. It's still, its nose is on the food. It's way too close to the food. But I like the fact that she moved in and the dog took a step back. What I would have done in that situation is got the dog to move 3 or 4 more steps back before actually putting the food down.
Touch the side, touch the side, touch the side. There you go. There you go. Touch the side.
That wasn't quite the right correction, but you're working with an owner. This is their first time doing it, right? So where you want to go is right here, right? So if you can do a correction here, and what that will do, if you correct the dog back here, it'll cause the dog to wheel around to see what you're doing, but they will instantly go back to this spot. If you correct up here and you do that where's that darn camera? The analogy of the bite, right? Use your finger as a bite and you go, no, back up, back up. What that does is it causes the bite at the shoulder. It forces the dog right away to move away from that. What the heck are you doing? And it takes 2 or 3 steps back, and you keep doing that until the dog gets to the point where it's given the food and you space.
Side again. Not yet. He's like figuring it out, okay? Yeah, very good. Go back to your position. So he's still figuring it out. So you already know.
I wish Cesar would be a little bit more strict here, because it's really important. This dog there's a power struggle going on right now. Yes, the dog's trying to figure out how to unlock this puzzle box thing that she's presented to him, but he's not connecting to the behavior, which is crowding and, trying to rush into the food. What we want to do is cause a break between the food and the space. So by saying to the dog, back up, make him back up, get him to a position where he's calm, wait for him to sit down, eventually lay down and submit. And then once he's finally there, he takes that nice big sigh. Then you can say, all right, and present the food to him. Yeah. Nice for a first attempt, or second attempt. But again, he's still in her personal bubble. Pretend there's a hula hoop on the floor. He's still a little too close. And the fact that he's using his nose and still smelling, he does not need to be this close to this food. He could be way over here. See where my cursor is? He could be way over here and still smell that food perfectly fine in the container. He doesn't need to be right there.
Set it down. Nice. Touch.
Okay, and that was a great example of not following through. So, and I see this a lot where she did the tss, and the dog went to sit down and then instantly popped right back up again because there was no follow through. It wasn't even really intentional. All she wanted was the dog to back up. But as soon as he sat his bum down, she carried on and he bounced right back up. So nothing was really learned in that.
Nice. There you go. Put it down. There you go.
Definitely better. Again, the dog's a little too close, in my opinion, to the food. I would want to step this dog back another 2 or 3 steps and wait for it to finally submit, which is, it's already started. It's down into a sit position now. Wait for it to just fully give up. It'll eventually plop down. And really what we want is to see the dog just start to look away. Eventually the dog will get to the point where it'll start to ignore the food. And that's really where the magic happens.
Try. Just relax. That was way better than the first one. You got it. There you go. He's laying down. He can't touch it though. He can't lick it or touch it. That's surrender.
So right there, that's what we want, right? That looking away. Yes, he's still too close. And if the owner had got him to back up a few steps, it would have been chef's kiss, perfect. But this is pretty darn close to it. You cannot ask for much more from a 5-month-old puppy. He submitted to this puzzle, the mystery puzzle with the food in it. He can't get it right now. And so instead of stressing about it, he's submitting to it. He's saying, okay, I guess I have to wait.
These are well-adjusted Vizslas, but the point I want to...
This is great that they've got this big agility center here, but you can do very simple things at home. You can create your own agility center by just doing some things like using a chair and getting your dog to jump up on the chair or under the chair or around the chair legs, or use your dining room table as a weave pole, right? There's so many things that we can do. You take an old tire, get a tire and teach your dog to run back and forth through the tire. Don't think that you have to sign your dog up for agility or spend a ton of money on agility equipment. I made one of these once. I went to the recycle reuse place and I got a bunch of cheap, what's this called stuff? PVC piping. And I had fun making my own weave pole just with, I think it cost about $2 for all the parts, right? It was super cheap. So yeah, this is great. And the more things you can do like this at home with your dog, setting up its own little agility center is great, because this is, again, going to burn off energy. It's going to get their minds thinking, and it's going to get them focused on more productive things instead of destroying your house.
Agility is a great way for dog owners to drain their excited dog's mental and physical energy. It's going to be
I do something with my dogs. It's called I have to say it kind of quiet because my dogs are right behind me, but it's called the Find It game. And we do this outside. We do it in the house. What I do is I make my dogs all stand in one place. Usually I get them to stay in my room. I tell them to stay. The door's open so they can watch me. And I go around and I hide treats all around my house. It's like a little doggy Easter egg hunt. This is a great activity to do because it burns their energy. It burns them psychologically. A 5-minute game like that, whether it's agility or in my case, the Find It game, 5 minutes of that is the equivalent of an hour-long walk. psychologically. It tires them out mentally, which is, I mean, let's face it, if we depend strictly on stamina to tire our dogs out, they will win every time, because dogs out stamina humans. There's just no comparison. So if you can find ways to trigger their mind and get them psychologically challenged, that's half the battle right there.
Very important for Whiskey to follow Rocio through a structured environment.
So watch how we actually work as a team. Okay. There you go. Here, let him settle down here in the middle. So don't go to that step until the brain settles. Let him master step 1, step 2. That's step 3. All right, that's right.
Right.
At the dog park where I walk my dogs, the off-leash park, there's a ton of trees that have been cut down, and there's stumps throughout the whole the whole trail. And what I do is I will ask the dogs to jump up on the stumps. And it's so funny to watch, because here I am, I own 4 dogs. And so when I walk through the park, it's like a traveling circus, right? Everywhere I go, these dogs are just, I point to the stump and all 4 of them charge up and jump up on the stump. But again, it's just getting them to think, finding ways that I can burn their energy off, whether it's, jumping off of a concrete, those concrete dividers that I don't know what they're called, but whatever you can use in your environment to burn your dog's energy or to get them to think is a win.
Right now, Whiskey is protesting against the obstacle in front of him, and he's hoping by saying no, I'll let him quit. But I need him to finish the exercise so he understands that no is not an option.
We can't quit, because he's gonna say no in other areas, right? So.
This is something that is so important. Once you've got it's important that you have realistic expectations. So if you're going to ask your dog to do something, that your dog's capable of doing it. But then it's also important that you follow through with that activity. Don't allow your dog, just because it's scared of something, to say, no, I'm not going to do it. Help them overcome that fear, because what that's going to do is going to put you in a leadership position. That dog is going to see you as being confident enough to help it when it was scared. And it's going to build your dog's self-confidence up, because it's going to be like, wow, I was scared, but I did it. I overcame my fear.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah.
You notice right away Cesar say, yes, sir. And this is where you want lots of energy. We want the dog to feel so good about it. It started off so scared. Its tail was tucked between its legs. Its head was down. It was scared. It did not want to participate. So yeah, when it does do what we want it to do, that's when you want to raise your energy from 0 to 5. You want that energy right up there, because we want to reward the dog. We want the dog to remember how it felt at that moment. Next time it looks at that seesaw, it's not going to remember how it felt getting on the seesaw. It's going to remember how it felt getting off, and all that excitement. So right away, the dog's picking up on her insecurity. She's nervous about it. She's doubting herself whether she can get Whiskey to go up on this thing, and he's putting the brakes on. We know he can do it, because he just did it 1 minute ago with Cesar. So we know he's capable of doing it. But the difference is he trusted Cesar. Cesar helped him through it. This owner, he sees as weak. So he doesn't feel that this weak energy is going to be enough to keep him safe going over this obstacle.
You can do the baby one. Right.
So every time he goes to step on the teeter-totter, there's no release on the leash. You notice there's just tension that whole time. So the dog doesn't realize that what it's done is right, because it didn't get any release from that pressure. What you want to do is set the dog up so you position yourself in a way that you're walking towards the object, in this case the seesaw. As the dog takes that first step, loosen up on the leash and continue walking, so that's the reward that the dog gets, is the release of the leash.
Let's do it again. Nice.
We did it, and that was great.
Whiskey challenged me a lot, but as the owner, you have to keep with it. Don't give up. And it worked.
Come on, Rocio.
Okay.
The teeter-totter is literally a baby step for Rocio.
So that was really good. I do want to point out that the collar has slipped down, and this is so common with the slip leashes. It would have, she probably would have found it much easier if the, I'm just going to move it back a little bit here just so you can see how low it is right there. It's with dogs with soft coats like this, the slip leashes do tend to migrate down the neck a lot. So you're constantly, I don't care if you're brand new to this or you've been walking your dog for 10 years, you just get in the habit of just constantly readjusting that slip leash, because we want the connection up here. We want that slip leash right behind the ears, along the jawbone, or under the jawbone there. That's the proper connection, and that's where we're going to have the most control with least amount of pressure on the dog.
Okay, keep that momentum. Keep going, keep going, keep going. You got this.
Really important that she doesn't pause here, right? So we want to stay in a forward motion. What I would have liked to have seen her do is when the dog got over the seahorse, it was like, woohoo, right on, okay, let's go, and keep that energy up. Run over towards or jog over towards this obstacle. As soon as the dog, starts to go up, right on, good job, and then it's going over. As soon as it gets off it, woohoo, right on, move on to the next one. You're keeping that energy nice and high. As soon as you start to falter with your energy, that's where the dog's insecurities are going to start kicking in.
There you go, now don't run to the tunnel. Come on, tunnel. Duck his head when you do that.
See?
The dog just simply didn't understand what it was supposed to do at that moment. But you could see, as soon as it got off that last obstacle, he started looking to mom like, is this okay? Am I doing it right? Is this what you want? And that would have been a really good time for her to be like, all right, buddy, come on, let's go. And just keep that forward momentum going so that he knows that this is exactly what she wanted.
Good job.
See, and that good job. And right away he's like, ooh, I got a good job out of that. I'm going to go back and do that one again.
Yes. Wowza. That's it.
Good job, mommy. Good job.
Something so simple as just getting them to step up on that box. Believe it or not, that's a huge confidence builder. I think sometimes we overcomplicate things, or we think that things have to be really tricky in order for our dogs to learn. They don't. The most simple thing, stepping up on something like a little box like that, is an exercise all in itself in self-confidence. I just want to point out, you notice that they have adjusted the collar now, so it's up here. You get to the point where when she uses slip collar enough, just start naturally noticing that. And it's such a big difference. If you start using a slip collar, pay attention to that. You'll start noticing when your dog starts moving ahead or starts pulling you, look down and you'll be like, oh, the slip collar slipped. Okay. And you'll have to go and readjust it. And that will automatically position the dog back at the heel position.
Shoulders up, heads up. I'm not looking at the ground. I'm not looking at the dog.
So they're using a halty collar now, which is great. I love halty collars. They're basically, the premise of the halty collar is the same concept as what we use on a horse. It works on the pole, so it's working on the back of the neck here and over the muzzle or the snout. The one downside with them is that people that don't know what a halty collar is automatically assume that your dog's wearing a muzzle, but these do give so much more control. They're fabulous tools, and they're very humane. The dog can still fully open its mouth, it can pant, it can drink, it can do all of that kind of stuff. But if it tries to pull, it's going to automatically turn that head to the side or up if you pull up on the leash. But as soon as the dog tries to pull, it's just going to self-correct. It's going to bend that neck, and the dog can't get ahead of you.
There you go. Look, I want you to be. So here. I'm never going to answer to him if he's pulling.
I think part of the reason he's pulling right now is they probably didn't give him enough time. Sometimes when you first use the halty collar or a muzzle, it's not a natural feeling. Dogs don't like things on their muzzle, so it feels weird. And so it's not uncommon to have sometimes a few minutes. It can go on for quite a while where they start pawing and they're trying to get that muzzle off their face. It's not a bad thing. It's just something that they have to get desensitized to. So I think that's what's happening here is Whiskey's just not used to having something on his face. So look at the position. The dog's tail is nice and relaxed. His ears are soft. His face is soft. His shoulder is soft. He's just in a very follower position right now. He's not rushed. He's just kind of going through with emotions. He may be a little, I can see a little bit of eyebrow furrowing here. I think this is just, he's trying to process all of this. The halty collar definitely takes their mind off of everything else temporarily while they're trying to focus.
You feel your hesitation? Okay. The pride, you see what I'm saying? You have to walk with pride.
Again, she's still letting the dog run up ahead. One of the problems with halty collars is they do give us, they have the tendency to give us a little bit of overconfidence. And it's really important with this puppy that we teach proper walking position right away. So she should be correcting him, you know. I know it might sound like I'm nitpicking, but this position right here, he's still, look at, you know, his hips are at her knee right here. Where he needs to be is this nose needs to be right around her knee. So that's the position we want to see him in.
Right there. See that?
That's the perfect position right there. Nice. And you can't ask for much better than that. Maybe a little bit softer, but again, that's the dog doing that. As the dog tries to pull, the leash is becoming tense.
Matthew, you ready to walk him?
I guess.
What do you mean you guess? It's a must. Here.
That was a good correction. Maybe a little, it would have been better to do the correction while the dog was actually jumping on the child. He did the correction afterwards. So what he's correcting is the excited energy instead of correcting the jumping. Because if the dog never gets to that excited energy, he's never going to jump. He's never going to want to get up on the kids. He'll just naturally stay at that level 2 energy instead of the level 5. So what Cesar's doing is just correcting that level 5 energy and saying, hey, knock it down. Let's get it down to like a 2.
Yeah, here. Head up. Nice. In the beginning, we're going to do it that way, okay?
The nice thing about having the child walk the dog in this case is that the dog is going to see the child now as a leader instead of just part of a litter mate. He's going to become a leader, which is great. I will say that when I'm working with clients that have younger children like this, I would, just for my own peace of mind, have another leash attached to the dog. This is one of those times where I do think that 2 leashes is a benefit, because the dog can still be following the child. You can still be walking a foot or 2 back and have that leash just in case something happens. The dog's wearing a halty collar. It's not a very good chance that the dog's going to take off at this point, but it's still, you never know. All of a sudden a dog comes running around the corner off leash and you could have an incident. So I always like to kind of err on the side of caution.
Okay. So you see how he's holding? He's a little tense. Can you see that arm right there? Yeah. Don't let him take you.
I wanted to walk him.
Oh.
Don't look at the dog, just look forward. There we go.
This is such a bad habit, especially when owners are first learning how to correctly walk their dogs. They look down, they're looking, they want to see the position the dog's in, and they look down instead of just being confident that your dog is already, you can feel it on your leash. You'll get to the point where you'll just feel if there's tension on the leash, the dog's not in the right position. Right? So all you want to do is just, you know, put the dog in the right position. You'll feel that there's slack in the leash and just head up and walk. So yeah, this poor little guy, he's just doing what we all do.
In control, Matthew. In control. Up, head up. There we go. Nice.
I like that Cesar's, you know, helping him get Whiskey. At this point, it's so important that whether it's this little guy walking him or an adult, we want to teach this puppy right from day one that consistency is everything, right? So we want to teach this dog to be walking in the right position. So Cesar's just kind of backing the kid up, which is great. All right, guys, I think that's the end of this episode. I think the rest is just kind of fluff. I don't think there's much. I don't think they cover much more after this. So just to recap, I just want to, there's one part here that's really important that I want to say, because in the beginning, when the owner was talking about, they might have to give the dog up. This is such a passionate topic for me because, of course, we run into it all the time. Usually by the time a client comes to me, they're at the point where they're asking me to find a home for the dog, or they're considering euthanasia. And it breaks my heart because it's never the dog's fault. It is never the dog's fault. I don't want to place blame on the owner. I'm not trying to sound critical here, but it is the human's fault. We as humans owe our dogs guidance and leadership. And when we don't do that, it is not fair for us to then go ahead and punish our dogs by euthanizing them or rehoming them. That I don't want to preach. I do want to say that, though, that it is not the dogs failing us. It's us failing the dogs. So let's do better, and let's learn together and just keep moving forward. So you guys have an awesome day. Thank you so much for watching this with me, and I can't wait to see you again. Take care. Bye.